Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we will basically learn how to have a functionality to kind of add books into our database. So what we have learned till now is that we have basically created this button which says add book, but right now this doesn't do anything else. So if you click on it, as you could see, it basically remains the same. So what you could do is that you could add a little bit of functionality to it so that you will be able to add books dynamically into your website or into your database. So right now you have two options to add books. So the first option is to basically go into the shell and enter the data manually over there, or a better way is that you could go to the IP address. You could go to the address and you could basically type in admin, and if you type in admin, this should be admin. It basically allows you to add books over here. So you could simply click on this icon and you could go ahead and add here. So this bookstore is actually not a completely functioning bookstore. This is just an example, and what I'm going to do here is that, let's say you want to accept any data input from the user. So what we are going to do here is that we are going to provide a functionality for the user so that he could add his own book. Now I know that a normal bookstore won't have this functionality, that is to basically allow users to add his book, but I thought instead of wasting time and creating another field or another table, I thought it would be better to basically learn how to add data into the table which is books. So what we are going to do is that we will basically learn how to add things up by using this button, and we are basically going to fill up the details. That is, we are going to create a form where the user could enter the book details, and as soon as the user hits submit, the form is going to get submitted and we will be able to see the newly added book right over here. So the first thing which you need to do is that you need to go to models.py. So if you go over here, this is your models.py file, and right now we have a class book, and we actually need to import something which is called as reverse. So simply go here and type in from django.core.url, and that should be URL resolvers, import reverse, and that is basically going to reverse everything. And the next thing which you need to do is that in this class book itself, you actually need to have a function which is called as the get absolute URL. So you need to define a function here which says get absolute URL. So you type in def get underscore absolute underscore URL, and to this you actually need to pass in self. And once you have this function with you, this function is actually going to return the page to which we want to redirect. So basically we want the user to be redirected to the user's page. So we type in return, and then we type in reverse, and let's type in the view name. So that is going to be books : detail, and one more parameter which we need to pass in is the primary key of that particular book. So in order to pass that thing as an argument, you type kwargs, which is keyword arguments, and to this you could pass in pk, which is nothing but your primary key, and then you could type in self.pk. So pk is nothing but the unique ID by which you could identify your book, and once this thing is done, you could go to views. So this is the views file right here, and here you actually need to import the create view. So as you could see, we actually had this detail view which basically gave us the details of the items present in our database. Now similar to detail view, we actually need to have something which is called as create view. So the create view basically allows you to create something, or in other words, it basically provides you with a form which you could use to fill in the details of your book. So what you can do is that you could go ahead, create a class for the create view, but first you need to actually import the create view. So to import that, you type in something like from django.views.generic.edit import, and that should be create view. So once you have imported this thing, you could directly go ahead and create a class which is called as book create. So let's type in class book create, and to this we will pass in the create view, and that is basically we inherit things from the create view. So once you have inherited those things, we specify the model. So the model is obviously going to be book, and now you actually need to specify the fields which you want in the form field. So for in case of a book, we actually want the fields which are basically present in the model. So if you switch back to model here, as you could see, we have name, author, price, type, and book image. So let's go ahead and add those fields. So you could type in fields equals, and let's specify the fields here. So first one is name, I'll give a comma. Next one is, I guess, author, and the next one is let's see, price, type, and book image. So let's specify the price here. So this is going to be price, comma, type, comma, the final one is book underscore image. Okay, so once this thing is done, we are pretty much good to go. Now the only thing which we need to do is that we actually need to have a URL, so that whenever the user clicks that add button, he will be redirected to the new URL. So in order to add up that URL, let's go to urls.py, and here let's specify one more URL pattern. So you could type in URL, and obviously you will have the regular expression here. So R, and you type in books /add / and finally give a $sign, and then give a comma, and that should be views dot, and that is a create view. So you type in views dot book create and dot as view, as we have done above. And then finally you need to specify the name, and the name of that view is going to be book underscore add. So you could specify the name as, let's say, book underscore add, give a comma at the end, and you're basically good to go. Now once you're done with this, you're pretty much done. Now the next thing which you need to do is that you actually need to design the form which is going to accept this data. So we are going to go through that in the next lecture, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.